When the Black Lives Matter movement became very prominent and vocal during the summer of 2020, a lot of different streaming apps wanted to uplift and showcase Black stories. A lot of films and TV shows that you typically had to buy or rent were now free for a period of time. Never missing an opportunity for watching new content, I hopped on that train really quick. For the first time, I viewed Watchmen the series, Blind Spotting, Just Mercy, and I Am Not Your Negro. I Am Not Your Negro, directed by Raoul Peck, was very intriguing. When watching for the first time, I was entranced by James Baldwin's words spoken by the awesome Samuel L. Jackson and how deeply he reflected on the impact of Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, and Martin Luther King Jr. For my film studies seminar this semester, we had to watch this film, and while watching, we had to consider the use of Axiographics in I Am Not Your Negro. Coined by Bill Nichols in his book, Representing Reality, Issues and Concepts in Documentary, Axiographics is to discuss the ethics of space, illuminating how in each documentary mode, the distinct physical relation of the camera to its subjects and position to the filmmaker, his or her presence, are crucial to a documentary's film response to the act of documentation and to the tech status in the real world. In other words, it is an attempt to explore the implementation of values in the configuration of space. With the focus on the gaze, the film studies approach became very clear. In this scene, James Baldwin is on a talk show throughout the documentary, and there's been clips about James talking about the experience of the Negro from a Negro. I think this sequence is a perfect example of axiographics and how it illustrates the conversation stemming from this scene and how this conversation is still being talked about today. When Professor Paul Weiss is brought onto the talk show, he mentions how he didn't hear a portion of what James said throughout, but heard some things.
And of course, there's a good deal I agree with, but I think he's overlooking one very important matter, I think.
He gives his thoughts on how the man, in general, has tons of problems and it isn't specific to just the black man. He then goes on to say that black men are exaggerating their problems and making everything about race.
The way of religion or color or size or shape or lack of ability, and the problem is to become a man.
What I am interpreting from the space of the talk show, the values that Weiss is attempting to bring into this space is the unity of all men. But Baldwin tells him that that is not what is happening right now.
But what I was discussing was not that problem, really. I was discussing the difficulties, the obstacles, the very real danger of death thrown up by the society when a black man attempts to become a man.
Baldwin tells him that this idea of being safe as the black man or people is in his environment is non-existent because of the color of his and their skin. If black men turn against their society, the probability of them dying goes so much higher. Therefore, there is more at stake. Sitting down trying to be a scholar or whatever you want to do in life is hard to concentrate when you're constantly thinking if you're going to live today. The juxtaposition of this concept is shown in the film where black people in the 60s and 2010s are going through similar police brutality and harassment. Apps like TikTok and Twitter allowed for misinformation to be spread everywhere, with people coming to the conclusions without the proper research. Even in 2021, conversations like this are still happening, with modern examples of microaggressions and gaslighting, making it harder to have conversations and hold people and society accountable. I Am Not Your Negro is a very profound film. James Baldwin's words jump out on the page, and I really hope a lot more people watch it. He might have been onto something.